Hi, Megan.
Hey, Devon.
Hello to all of our listeners, and welcome to another episode of Hockey Style. We're so glad you're here today. We have a really exciting episode we will get into in a moment. But for those of you who are joining us for the first time, welcome to Hockey Style with Devon and Megan, where we strive to create a community that shares stories and anecdotes about the people behind the scenes who help shape the style of their teams, their arenas, and the sport that we all love. So, a little bit different. We're going beyond the metrics and analytics and digging into some of the things that have pulled at our heartstrings over the past season. And the biggest of which is the Stanley Cup champions of 2025, the Florida Panthers. Congratulations to the Panthers.
Go Panthers.
Go, cats, go. Rawr. I can't make that noise that they all
Yeah.
make. Rawr, rawr,
Uh,
rawr. That was not
uh,
flattering. Excited to see the Panthers victory. Excited to keep the cup in the States, I guess.
yep,
What did you
that's the
think?
most important part. Just, always like being bummed that that's it. There's no more hockey for a while.
I know.
It's always sad, but I mean, the best outcome with what was there. So yeah, let's let the Panthers keep the cup, even though they already cracked the heck out of it. It took
I
five
saw
minutes.
that. The actual
Yeah.
original
Oh, the
bowl
bowl. Yeah,
that Lord Stanley of Preston donated before the NHL was formed has a
they got it
giant
good.
crack.
They got it good.
I know. And it's
Oops.
just starting. Last year, Matthew Kachuk took it swimming in the Atlantic Ocean.
Oh,
I mean,
oh my gosh, those are the best things though. That's
the
great.
absolute best. I know.
Yeah,
And
so
we were
funny.
my husband and I were giggling last night watching it when, the bearer of the cup, the keeper of the cup comes out with the white gloves and it's so freshly polished just to hand it over to Gary Bettman. And in 30 seconds, the whole thing's going to be smudged and then beer's going to be poured out of it and God knows what else.
One of my favorites was when the Avs won and the guy skates over for the picture and just immediately dunks it. That's one of my
I
favorites.
know. And it kind of
So
bounced
good.
too. That was
Oh yeah.
rough.
He just
Oh.
yeah,
So what
so good.
surprised you the most in the finals with Edmonton?
I don't know why. Like I just sort of knew that that was gonna happen. I was like, they're just not gonna do it. Like Edmonton's just, I don't know why. I have no basis, no reason. Like I just figured we would be talking about this on Wednesday afternoon that the Panthers were champions. I just had a feeling. And
You had a hunch.
hmm
I had a hunch because the Panthers were relentless. They were scrappy. When the playoffs started, there were very few commentators who had them going all the way again. And there was something about the way they came back in that Toronto series where you could just see there's a magic there. And I loved Paul Maurice. At some point over the season, he talked about the differences with the teams who, when they travel for away games, are clicky in some capacity. The rookies go out to dinner together. The vets go out to dinner together. You've got, the Swedes who all go out to dinner together just to speak in their own language or whatever. And the Panthers, everywhere they go, it's reservations for 25 people because they just had that team bond. And when you care so much about the people you're playing with, there's more to, you have a bigger reason as to why you want to win. So watching them last night, even with at the time a 4-0 lead, they were still playing like they were behind. I mean, they were relentless. It was fun hockey.
I just enjoy that when all is said and done, they had to troll the Oilers one last time and party to Pink
Pink
Pony Club in the
Floyd.
locker room.
I know it was so bad. I honestly kind of felt a little bad when they did that, but I guess that's half the fun of it.
And they are
And,
all just a vibe. Like even Kachuk with
yeah.
his cigar, his Bud Light, and
Oh
his
my god.
whatever other alcohol, just carrying everything. Like they're just a
Yeah.
vibe. It's
His
so
rip
funny.
t-shirt.
Hmm
The biggest surprise for me over the course of the season, but certainly it was amplified in this championship series, was I can go ahead and say I am now a fan of Brad Marchand.
Oh, it's too far. I don't know what the words are.
Yeah, but
Um,
he grown
can
on
I
you?
just
Because
say
you
that
were
I'm
very anti.
entertained by Brad Marchand? Can I just say that?
Yes.
Can I say I'm
Yes.
entertained by him?
Yes.
I'm just gonna take a lot for me to use the F word with him, that's for sure.
The fan word,
Mhm.
which by saying that's coming a long way for you because you really were not a fan of his early career antics. And
He's definitely just kind of I don't know, like, there's just been a lot more of his personality coming out lately, and
yeah,
I think his interactions with Paul Bissonnette are hilarious, and that
oh
always
my
makes
God.
me laugh, so it's yeah,
That
makes it a little better.
and seeing, I think we get more visibility because the trade from Boston to Florida was so prevalent and talked about. And obviously, with the Panthers going on the run, he had so much more camera time. And we got to see a side of him that we, not being in Boston, didn't get to see often. And that was like his heartfelt side and his interaction with his teammates and family members. And I don't, did you see the video his three kids made for him before the game last night?
I don't go crazy for the kid videos.
I know. It's not necessarily a cup of tea, but it was cuter. They're a little. There's two little girls and then an older son he has, and they made him this very heartfelt montage video saying like, no matter what, like you're our champion, Dad. And it was just like you know that's Brad Marchand who used to lick people in the face.
He still might, we can't be
we
sure.
we don't know. I was sad that our buddy Jake Wallman did not end up with a cup, but
He'll be okay.
he's got a long, successful career
He'll be
ahead of
okay.
him, and I hope we get to
He's
see
not
him
the
again.
first person I'm sad for on that Oilers team, and not even just sad, just like,
True,
"Ooh, that's not great for you.
I
That's not
know,
great."
and I hate to say it though, but like McDavid and Draisaitl weren't the forces they typically are in the last couple of
There was
games.
just at one point when it was like, Draisaitl has no shots, and I'm like, "What?
I know, and
What?
McDavid had one goal in the series.
That's insane." Dude,
I know.
I'm sorry, you don't, but you shouldn't have won then.
Yeah. Yeah. It was an interesting one, but we're celebrating for Florida. I was excited to put up my little Sergei Bobrovsky bobblehead and my Bob lifting the cup last year. And, I'm such a fan of Bob. So that was sweet. But I think the best interview after raising the cup, they were talking to all the first time Stanley Cup
Oh, I
winners.
loved their cup order. That was really sweet.
Oh,
Their cup order was good. That was
that
yeah.
was I've never seen that done. Not that I can
I mean, it
recall.
kind of goes, everybody kind of does their own thing. Like a lot
Mhm.
of times, the first person to be handed the cup is the one who has gone the longest without. But they just said,
Aw.
everybody who hasn't had it, now it's your turn,
Yeah,
which I thought
yeah.
was really cool.
Yeah, they let Vitek Vanacek go like third or like before Bob. And I was
Why
like,
not?
love that for him. He
Why
was there
not?
every game, ready to go, rooting them on. I loved it. I loved their vibes. So they'll be partying all summer. And I told the second string leather guys I'm gonna be using my Bobrovsky wallet all summer in
Oh, are
celebration.
you? Are
Yeah,
you going
got
to
us.
take it out of the archives and actually
Yeah, it's
tour
gonna
it?
make a
Oh.
only until training camp. Then we're back to the Red Wings.
Oh, I mean, that's not the issue. I just, oh, so fancy times,
I
fancy
know.
wallet.
I know. I mean, let's hope. I gotta stay away from the red wine. Can't get
Well, you
stains on
just
that
need the
one.
jalapenos and the white wine. That's good to go.
I know. Okay, tell everybody about your fancy new recipe for
This
the
is not
summer.
my fancy new recipe. This is the fancy TikTok recipe. It's just a spicy Savy bee, so it's Sauvignon Blanc with jalapenos in it.
It looks
That's it.
fabulous.
Just throw your fresh jalapenos in there, and it makes your wine spicy and jalapeno flavored. So you need to like that. That's an important part. If
There you go. Well,
you
I
don't like
don't.
jalapenos, do not do this.
Yeah, I like them. So cheers to the Florida Panthers with my imaginary spicy Sauvignon Blanc.
There we go.
I don't have a cocktail. I do have the other thing that only makes an appearance once a year is this not very pretty Stanley Cup playoff shirt because you already know this, but this fun fact is it's the 2023 finals shirt that the Florida Panthers wore when they made it to the end in the 23-24 season. No, 22-23 season. And Alex Line was the backup goalie. And this was his actual shirt. So a shout out to our friend Antonio who found it for me down in the Florida Authentic. So thanks, Alex. Got a little piece of Florida hockey history. Speaking of apparel, much more attractive apparel than this interesting gray leopard print situation that I'm wearing. Um, we have a special guest joining us for the second period who is making incredibly beautiful pieces inspired by his love of the Great Lakes and the Fresh Coast region and hockey, two of our personal favorite things. So we're really excited to speak with Austin Hyde, founder of Fresh Coast Hockey.
Let's do it.
All right, here we are in the second period with our special guest, Austin Hyde of Fresh Coast Hockey. Austin, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to meet both of you guys.
I'm surprised we haven't met yet. Like we've probably been in the same places at the same times and just
Yeah,
not realized with.
there's a good chance whether it was at a game or somewhere in between. I'm sure we probably bumped into each other or, you know.
Do you go to many Red Wings games or Griffin games or?
Yeah, no, this year unfortunately didn't get to go to as many. There was just a lot of like big life events that had going on, a move, a baby, and so
Just a
didn't
few.
just yeah, just the big ones. And so yeah, unfortunately didn't get to go to many this year. Last year I probably went to the most I had been to since I was a kid,
Wow.
which was nice. And uh, I think I knew the following season I might not be able to make it as many times, so I tried to soak it all in as much as I could. So hoping for next year, get down to some more games again, and hopefully to a slightly better team as well.
Slightly better
Yes.
team, maybe a playoff game.
Yeah,
Maybe. I
really. I
mean,
know.
I'm not planning on it, but it could happen.
Yeah, don't get your hopes up too high, but I thought this season was going to be the one, but
Yeah.
slowly getting
I
back on
did
the right
too.
track, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, when, what was it, 23, 24, and we missed by a tiebreaker, I told everyone who would listen, like, next year's our year. Like, we should have been in it. And it's just,
Exactly.
Megan, how long have you been saying that?
Mm.
you've
How long have I been
you've
saying
been a
that?
season
I
ticket
wouldn't dare
holder
say
for.
that.
Oh,
I
that's true.
would, I'm
That's
not a
true.
Leafs fan. I wouldn't say not a
Yeah,
chance.
yeah. No, that's
But you keep coming back.
Of course, yeah. Got to work out sometime, right?
Yes, next year. Next year when Austin's back and your baby's a little older.
yeah,
Yes, yes.
exactly. Take him to some games.
There you
Yes,
go.
yes. And when you do, we were just talking to Amanda from Kilo and Co about this. You must bring him down to warm-ups. It's so cute, the little
Yeah.
babies who, stand up on the edge of the glass and
Right.
gosh.
No,
So
full experience.
you were one of those kids, not quite that young, but you
Yeah.
grew up in Hockey Town, born and raised in Michigan. So
Mhm.
before we get into your life as an adult hockey fan and the incredible brand that you have started as an entrepreneur, tell us about your history with hockey and the Red Wings.
Yeah, so grew up obviously locally, and we had season tickets when I was younger. So if we weren't at the game, the TV was on in the living room always. Ken and Mick were the background to still to this day, really. My childhood, and even now, the game's always on, whether watching it intently or just it's on in the background. And, it's always a part. So yeah, we would make it to a lot of games, and got to witness some awesome times at the Joe, and saw the 2002 Stanley Cup final game
Yes.
there. That was
Nice.
awesome. And
Wow.
just such a core memory, and the confetti coming down, and just that place was a special place to me. It's like walking out of there for the last time. I went to the game with my sister, and we were just, I think we just had goosebumps the whole time.
Oh,
Just knowing that kind of like a chapter of our childhood, was being closed in a sense, with the rink being demolished and moving on to
yeah.
LCA. Um, but yeah, no, whether it was hockey in the driveway or on the ice, on the team. That was a huge part of growing up, and still continues to be today. We, like I said, went to so many games down there, and just got to experience so many awesome times that I'll forever cherish that.
When you were in the last season of the Joe, were you one of the lucky fans who got to go to the Joe and get some of the things, items being auctioned off from the
No,
arena?
no, I wanted to, and to this day, I still want to get some Joe seats. It's on the list. They were auctioning them off, and I like wanted to buy some. And at the time, it was one of those like was yeah, maybe not. I shouldn't. I probably shouldn't spend the money, but I kind of want them. Where am I going to put them?
Yeah.
Type of thing. And then every so often, I go online and I cruise around, because I know one of these days I'm going to come across some, and it'll be a part of the house. Yeah.
You've come to the right place now that we are all friends here. You're in the inner circle, Austin. And if I were ever looking for something from Joe Louis, my first phone call would be Megan Cole. So now
Well,
that you know Megan, I don't think you have seats, but you have something
Well,
cooler than,
I don't have entire seats. I mean, I have a lot of stuff. So I did the Red Wings sale when they were selling everything. And then once the city took over, it was like the Wings sold basically anything that wasn't structural.
mm,
So I was one of the first people in the building for that sale. And I mean, it was a blast. Like it was just a free for all of just like anything you could think of, signs, garbage cans. What do you need? What do you want? It's here. Um,
which you have two of garbage cans.
no, I just have the one.
Oh, the one.
Who could do with two of those? My
I
goodness, just the one. Um,
know.
but yeah, then I did the sale that the city did. So they when they auctioned all that off, the funny thing about that sale, the best part of it was I paid $25 for just seat backs and I got 10 seat backs. And then the
Yeah.
deal was you've got to go pull them. And I was like, okay, whatever.
bring your own
Like,
tools.
yeah,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah, little Megan,
But
she's and you can't tell from Zoom. She's like 5'2", and she's there like, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Well, let me tell you about it. It was the best $25 I ever spent because I pulled up, drove onto ice level in my car,
Ooh,
got out, and they're
yeah.
like, okay, go get your seat backs. And they weren't still affixed to the arena, but they had like unscrewed them all and then thrown them down to like the first bar in the upper bowl. So
Yeah.
I had to like climb the bleachers like an insane person and pull down 10 seat backs myself. But just to be in there and it was
Yep.
just the bones. Everything was
Yeah.
gone. Like it was just like the
And I'm
best
sure
like
those stairs were probably still sticky from all the
oh
beer
yeah.
there. I
Oh,
remember
Oh, my seat
walking up and
backs
down
have
those, just your shoes would stick.
oh yeah. The seat backs have authentic Joe sludge.
Oh,
So yeah,
perfect. You
it's
want to clean that. That's
yeah,
it makes
for sure.
a
You
little
don't
more
clean it.
money, I think.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you got the seat backs, but you also, which I was alluding to, is even cooler. You got seats from the locker room, or what?
Oh,
You
my
got
locker room stool.
the
Oh, that was
stool.
a whole different thing. But yeah, that's over
Yeah,
there. Yeah.
yeah.
It
Nice.
was
It has
allegedly Darren Helms. We'll not,
yes,
who knows? We'll never know.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
her collection's pretty incredible. So we'll have to send you some
And I get
pictures
to
because
move it.
there's pictures of Megan in her little Jeep pulling onto the ice and getting all these the garbage can, the seat back. So
Yeah, that's
anyway,
awesome.
yeah, that's awesome. But you got to actually be there in the Joe during
Yeah.
this like iconic time,
Yeah.
and you were with your family. Like, how
Yep.
special? Tell us about like what were some of your favorite memories and what did it mean for you to share that with your family?
Yeah. So, I mean, right off the bat, probably the one that sticks out the most, you would think I'd say being there 2002 Stanley Cup game, but and I think a lot of people would say the same if they're watching and at the games around this time, but was Game 7 against the Avalanche. Um,
Oh, yeah,
and
good call.
yeah, and we are up 6-0 halfway through the game, and the place was just going crazy. And I like getting the goosebumps now just thinking about it because the energy in there, it was louder and crazier than the Stanley Cup game. It just because
Wow.
obviously being a huge rival, Patrick Waugh gets pulled
Yeah.
and the place just erupts. And then I just remember everyone singing na 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 na, singing the whole
I'm
place.
getting goosebumps.
Yeah, no, it was awesome. So the whole place singing that, and then that turned into a chant saying Hasek's better. Dominic Hasek was in that for those
Awesome.
years and or for that year. And so yeah, that one by far is the best memory. We'd go to a ton of games, but that one sticks out the most between that and obviously the Stanley Cup
Yeah.
2002. Just what an awesome time to be around Detroit and how big hockey was, and obviously it's still big to this day here. But the Red Wings doing well obviously just boosts it to a whole nother level. So just awesome time to be around and to be able to witness that. And yeah, just is my mom, dad, and my sister always at the games, and we'd drive down there and yeah, hardly miss a game. And like I said, if we weren't at the game, it was on TV. So always some special moments to be able to share with the family back then. And felt normal going to all the games back then, but it was, a
Yeah.
special thing. You maybe didn't realize that till I was a little bit older.
Yeah, no, it's a really special thing. I think we're lucky in Detroit that, Hockey Town is, like I said before, in our DNA. I mean, it just
Right.
like everybody's sort of connected by this love of hockey. And even when we've not seen a ton of success in a while and not made the playoffs, like you can still tell there's that energy and that excitement for the
Yeah.
franchise. And we're just ready for what's next.
Right. Yeah, you can tell just even some of the games this year, last year, just the crowd, people are in their seats, people are watching, people are cheering. In the beginning at LCA, when we were in a pretty bad slump, you just didn't see that. There's a lot of people
Hmm.
missing from the seats, and no energy. And players thrive off that. So to get a hint of that back and to be moving in the right direction is great to see. I'm hopeful that we'll come around pretty soon here and continue that.
So you mentioned spending time with your mom, your dad, and your sister, just like my little family, that now Megan will be a part of, which is kind of fun.
Yeah, I had heard
Um,
that on the one of your past podcasts I was listening to.
yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
We can say we started this podcast, which was only like 6, 7 weeks ago, as best friends, and now we will continue it as sisters, which is pretty fun.
Yeah, no, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so it's a family affair, but you have also a very special family member in that your grandma was the girlfriend of or dated, right?
Yeah,
Someone tell us this story.
yeah. So that was a kind of funny thing is my nan, we call her. She was talking hockey with me one day, and she would come to a lot of my games and stuff. And as I got older, she said, "Oh yeah," just kind of casually, "Yeah, I used to date Terry Sawchuk back in the day." And I just thought that was so cool and funny at the same time, that she had spent some time in the past with him, and had so much memorabilia. Apparently, her mother had thrown all of it away at one point. So
Oh
she had
no.
old
Oh,
vintage jackets, so much gear.
oh
She said that he had given her so much stuff.
Oh,
And I was like, oh, can you imagine just to have like one thing from there
my
would
God.
be awesome. So
amazing.
unfortunately, her mom tossed it
Yeah.
at one point
Oh,
after she had moved out of the house or something, as the story goes. So yeah, no,
darn it,
it's
mom.
just a small little tidbit that is kind of funny that
How fun.
and she would talk about actually right there. I got the Olympia up there, and
My gosh, so cool.
she'd go to all
Yeah.
the games, and yeah, pretty cool that.
She is a cool lady that she just nonchalantly one day, oh, by the way, I dated him for a bit. Like
Yeah.
she wasn't like bragging about, just came up
No.
casually, like, oh, I never mentioned the great Terry Sawchuk. I was gonna say I feel for her, for you guys, because we look at so many of the items that we treasure from these Red Wings events and hockey games and moments, and to the outside world, it would look like a lot of this stuff is garbage. Like,
Yeah.
do people know that Megan's Darren Helm locker room seat is anything other than a brown stool? Like,
No,
who
yeah, I
knows?
need to
Someone else, it
staple a
might
note
be
to
like a
it, not
garage
trash.
tool.
Yeah, so we
Yeah.
won't blame your great grandmother.
Uh-uh.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. No. Too bad some of that stuff's not around still, but
Hmm.
yeah, I've been meaning to ask her because she's in her 90s now, and so I never asked too many stories just because I guess it's maybe because it's an ex or something, but she'd tell little things here and there, but I've always kind of wanted to ask a little bit more about that.
You should. You should. You can tell her you were on the podcast, and we were
Yeah,
we were so excited to hear about her.
yeah,
That's
I'll
pretty
send it to
awesome.
her.
Yeah. So you spent a lot of time with your family at the Joe. Did you ever have any, family superstitions or ways you celebrated, things you did for away games when you were watching at home?
Mm, I don't. Maybe today I do. Back
Yeah.
when I was a kid, I don't know that I had too many superstitions. Um, we did kind of have our little routine, I guess, of how we would go about and where we would park, and we had a little routine that we liked to do. I don't know that it was a superstition, but just kind of a way that we liked to. I don't know if you remember the old Pontchartrain in Detroit.
Hmm.
Yeah, for
Yeah, so
sure.
we knew one of the guys that was parking the cars, so we'd park there and usually go in and get some food and then head to the game from there. So it's
Nice.
kind of like a little trick. We weren't
Perfect.
really supposed to be parking there because it's for the hotel members, but we had an inn, so you just throw a little tip
Nice.
money and yeah, good
So
parking.
nice.
I asked that it's a totally leading question. You're like, what's this is out of left field. We're doing, if you got a poster board at the end of the season, they were handing them out. The Red Wings were handing them out, and it was 100 things to do this summer Red Wings edition. And it's
Mm,
100 random things that you should do to entertain yourself while we're all hungry for hockey to come back. And as you read through them, they're actually like quite punny. Megan and I were giving mad props to the marketing or social team or whoever put this together because there's a lot of hidden Easter eggs where the number of the item like corresponds to a player that they're alluding to. So a lot of inside
yeah.
jokes. But one of them is just like straight up develop a pregame superstition with your family. And so I'm racking my brain. Like, so I was actually asking, like, can I steal any of your ideas? We don't really have one. So
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, I think a lot of it comes down to like I think even down to this right here, the water. Sometimes I'll be drinking this my Red Wings one as I'm watching oh yeah, cheers.
we all have our Red Wings cups for
Well,
those
it's not
listening
Red
to
Wings.
audio only. Oh,
Sorry.
Megan has
Megan
your
has sharks.
San Jose Sharks drink your face off from our dear friend Mitch.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean it's always just little nothing that's like a every game thing, but stupid little ones where like, I'll have this and I'm watching the game and using this water, and then next thing you know, they start losing. So I'm like, oh, I gotta not use that one while I'm watching the game because I've got a couple few that I use just on my day to day. And
Yep.
like silly stuff like that. And trying to think there's another one. Oh, like sometimes what I'm wearing too. So I've got a couple old Red Wings sweaters from my grandpa that were ones from the 90s that when he had passed, he had given to me. And so sometimes I'll put one of those on for good luck, if we need it or something, or if we're doing well, winning consecutive games, and I've been wearing those, keep it going kind of thing, just little stuff like that, which
Yeah.
at the end of the day, does it do anything? Who knows?
You know what I think it does? Opinion of one here. I think it mentally makes you feel like you're contributing, like your energy is in the right place.
Right.
And
Yeah,
all that
exactly.
energy, like it can manifest success because like you said,
Right.
if you're in the arena and you're feeling like, yeah, we got this, like then the whole crowd starts cheering and they feel and then the players feel it and like, you know
Yeah.
what? We'll take any help we can get.
Yeah, exactly. Whether it's a water bottle, a sweater, or
Yeah.
whatever it
Yeah.
is. Sometimes I do the opposite. I like won't wear any Red Wing stuff or during the games and just maybe rock a Fresh Coast shirt or something like that instead. And
Perfect.
Yeah.
um, yeah, so silly little superstitions.
I love it. Well, we are hockey people, so we get it.
Right.
And that's a perfect segue because you mentioned some of the vintage pieces your grandfather had given to you. And Megan and I had seen your Fresh Coast hockey line before we even knew that you and I had a connection
Yeah. Cool.
through our friend Karen and thought this is really cool because it's got that like vintage
Hmm.
vibe. So tell us about that, like your design aesthetic. I know obviously you were very much influenced by your love of Michigan and the Great Lakes, but what about your love of vintage? How do you come up with your ideas?
Yeah. So I kind of like to call it vintage wear, casual wear with a vintage flair. So
Ooh,
it has a little mix of both, with keeping it modern and up to times, but also remaining with a little bit of a vintage aesthetic. So yeah, it came about just out of the love for hockey, and a lot of the brand is nature based. So kind of tying the Great Lakes into hockey. I mean, it's the years of playing pond hockey growing up, and also growing up with a boat, and like when we were younger, we were always out on the boat and being by the water. So I think it ultimately kind of it's who I am really. Like,
yeah.
I've got the history of that, and of the hockey background as well, playing and watching and being a big fan. And so, tying those two things together to do something that I love and want to continue to do. And yeah, you were asking about the designs and aesthetic and everything. So a lot of what we're working on is ideas that I'm coming up with and sending to a design team to kind of put the finishing touches on things and polish and everything. So yeah, it's been fun, really keeping me in a creative mindset, which is something that I need. I love to have something that I can start and finish, package, sell, whether it was back in the day playing in some college bands for fun and recording some music, and like that whole process of start to finish and having something tangible to put out there to people and to see their reaction, whether, like I said, it's music and seeing them enjoy it, or whether it's clothing and an aesthetic to bring to them. That's what I love the most, is that start to finish. And it's been, keeping me on my toes and keeping me going. And yeah, it's been very fun.
Well said. And it's not just your childhood that you were skating on ponds. We saw on social media that you were skating, it looked like, was it Belle Isle?
So that's yeah, that's actually that is not me. That's the Detroit Ice Boys.
Oh,
I
okay.
went out and skated. Might we look a little similar with the glasses and mustache, so you might have thought it was me.
Maybe I did.
But yeah, so they shout out to them actually, Detroit Ice Boys. Dima, who's a buddy of mine now and has been a great connection for Fresh Coast. They were out each winter, sorry, each weekend this winter, shoveling off the ponds. We had a great winter this year, cold temperatures, and
Yep.
so they were there every weekend, keeping that spirit alive, clearing off the ice, inviting everyone
Love
out.
it.
Anyone that wants to come, doesn't matter your skill level, come out, play, enjoy. And yeah, he was a great connection to meet up with. And so I had gone out a couple times to Clark Park. I didn't make it out to the Belle Isle one, uh,
Okay.
but yeah, made it out to Clark Park and skated with them a couple times. And just a good group of guys. And yeah, just had a lot of fun. And it's cool what they're doing right now too. They're kind of growing their um, I don't know if brand, whatever you want to call it,
Sure.
and getting out there. It's been fun.
We'll have to
Very
talk to them.
cool.
You'll have to introduce us.
Yeah, definitely. And speaking of, to plug them again, actually, real quick. So him and his wife own a vintage clothing shop in Detroit, Eastern Market. It's called Wabasabi 313.
Okay.
Oh,
That's the spot to go if you want like a nice vintage Red Wings or Pistons or Tigers. Like they have some awesome pieces there. Um,
That we do.
yeah, there's a couple Fresh Coast hats for sale in there as well. And yeah, no, two awesome people that have been very welcoming, inviting, and yeah, I know your guys' love for the apparel and vintage and modern and everything in between. So I would definitely recommend you guys check it out. It's a cool shop right in Eastern Market.
Love
awesome.
it. And I love that your eagerness to plug another Detroit small business. It's just this, it's so true for people who are listening who are from Detroit. It's
Yeah,
just this community of like-minded individuals who just love the sport and want to
right.
help each other succeed. And I'm so excited to have another potential guest on the pod who we would love
Yeah,
to
no, I'll
get
have
to know.
to. Yeah, there's a couple of people I'll have to link you up with that could be some good guests on the pod. And
Well,
another one, just to shamelessly plug them, but UHF, Urban Hockey Foundation. I'm not, if you're
okay.
familiar with them, you should check them out. They're doing some really big things and great things in the local community, but also beyond that, all around the world. So they are bringing hockey to underprivileged communities.
Oh, great.
So to be able to teach them, bring equipment, sticks, have some
Yeah.
fun, show them what it's all about, and yeah, I'll have to link you up with Mike from there. He's a good dude. Another one that I met kind of through that group, and have no problem plugging them as well because I love what they're doing.
Well, you're very kind, Austin. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that you say I thought the guys, the Detroit boys on Belle Isle were you, but I know I did see you at some point skating on a pond. And I think it's because you have such beautiful marketing and creative for your lines. And a lot of it features, like you said, that outdoor element. So you don't just showcase a t-shirt on a, black wall on your
Yeah,
website or a, white table. It's hanging from a snow covered
yeah,
net, or it's so well done. Or I think, is it you skating with some of the pieces on?
yeah, yep, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a yeah, yep. Some videos on there of, yeah, me skating with some of the gear on, and whether it's we did a little photo shoot in Ferndale at Harding Park,
Oh, cool.
on the inline outdoor rink there. So yeah, between that and like Clark Park and whatever local pond is frozen and cleared off,
Right.
I love to get out as much as I can still and skate. And unfortunately, like I said, this past year was, a lot of things going on as far as big life moves.
Yeah,
So
for good
not
reason.
nearly as much as I'd like to. Or like typically, play in a beer league team and have fun with the guys once a week. That didn't happen either last year. So excuse me, going forward, definitely want to get out as much as I can.
Yeah. You said you listened to, Megan would know better than I. It was either our episode 3 or 4, where we spoke to
Yeah.
Callie Marie from Minnesota. And we had a conversation about Minnesota is known as like the hockey capital, but we're known as Hockey Town. So
Right.
I think I'd say it's competitive, but it's not because people from Minnesota are so freaking nice. They would be like, it's fine.
Yeah. Sure.
But you have really found a way to combine two of your passions, the outdoors, Michigan, the Great Lakes, and your love of hockey into really beautiful pieces. You're wearing my favorite piece. I told you over email. That's the hat. It gives me like
Oh yeah.
goalie vibes, which I'm a big goalie collector. And Megan, tell us about the one you liked. Was it
Oh,
the
I really love the t-shirt that's kind of got, I'm so bad at like describing stuff like this. It's the
got
cream
like
colored
wings?
one with like the text,
AV
but
design.
yeah, I love that
Yeah,
one.
yeah. No, that's becoming kind of a fan favorite. Probably that
Yeah.
actually both of those are probably between that and our company badge logo one is those ones definitely are some top
Yeah.
sellers and a great summer t-shirt. Uh,
For
Hmm.
sure.
yeah, no, those are really good ones. We like to have quality stuff too, so everything is done with heavyweight t-shirt materials. So that's a big part of the brand too, is keeping up the quality. We don't want to just print stuff on anything and put it out there. I want everything to have a quality to it and to continue with even better quality as Fresh Coast continues to grow. Obviously, a small brand at the moment and growing by the day. So it's been exciting to kind of see each day it grow and continue to turn into something,
You
bigger.
you're 100% e-commerce right now, right? Other than having pop-ups like
Correct.
with Eastern
Yeah.
Market.
Yep. Correct.
Are you planning to grow first within your e-commerce platform with new product lines, or do one day foresee like a brick and mortar? What's your goal there?
Yeah, I mean, right now, definitely e-commerce and trying to grow it. It's self-funded and trying to block by block to be able to grow it properly and scale properly without going too far into it at once and going into too many different directions, too many different lines. So yeah, we like I said, Wabi-Sabi 313 in Eastern Market, a couple hats we have for sale in there, and a couple pop-up shops, one coming up this coming week. And yeah, I'd like to see it continue in that direction, slowly get into more stores throughout the area. And then it would be awesome to have some sort of brick and mortar store one day, start small and continue to grow it. And definitely some ideas have popped up on how I'd like that to look already and be more than just a apparel clothing store so that it's more of
Mm,
an attraction, clothing, being able to shoot around in some hockey nets, other vintage
love it.
memorabilia, like we had talked about some of the stuff that you guys have, being able to put some of those cool, the sign pucks, the seats from the Joe, like that, all that stuff, it would be awesome to eventually have, a brick and mortar store like that. And I think it's possible, just, that we've only been doing this for a year. So still trying to make sure everything's aligned and grow and scale properly.
Yeah, the fact you've only been around for a year and have already made a name for yourself in the competitive Detroit sports apparel marketplace is really impressive. But man, I hope you do that because Megan and I were just joking about we have all this cool memorabilia, like things we've collected, but
Hmm.
outside of like each other and our significant others, there's very little people we get to like talk about it with or show or who like get our
Yeah.
excitement. So
Right.
if we could come hang out at your store, shoot some
Yeah.
pucks, and like geek out with other people who get it, like
Right.
we'd be that you'd have to kick us out. We'd be there every week.
Hey, I'm not going to complain. No, no, and it's great that you have this podcast that you guys have started this because it does give you that outlet for just that, getting
Yeah.
talking to like-minded people and hearing some new stories, learning some new facts or whatever it is. It's cool. I really liked what you guys are doing and it can see you guys continue to grow as well. I think that you guys will be doing just fine. Give it a year, two,
Hmm.
three. I can see it continue to grow and you guys doing good things.
Oh, well, thank you. We'll
Thank
have to have
you.
you back on again and then we can like keep each other honest. How are your
Yeah,
goals
yeah.
going? How are our
Yeah,
goals?
right. Exactly. Yeah, need a good
Well,
reality check
yeah,
from time to
love it.
time, whether it's maybe yeah, yeah, definitely need a reality check every so often.
That's all right. You're doing great. And it's always fun to ask apparel brand founders and creators if you could collab with any brand, like anybody in the world. Have you ever thought about one that you'd love to work with?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's an obvious one in a lot of the colors you see right behind you, the red and white.
Yes. I had a
Obviously,
feeling
that's
that might be your number one.
right. And yeah, obviously that's a huge mile marker to get to, and I think is achievable as time continues, and like I said, as things scale properly and in due time. Um, so to throw out the obvious, obviously the Red Wings, the Griffins, something like that
Mhm.
would probably be one of the top ones. But in the meantime, there's something other things in the works that we do have. One that I can't really say exactly what it is right now, but with a smaller brand as well that is established and has been doing their thing for a handful of years now, and we're
Nice.
kind of in the talks right now about something for the fall, a nice piece. So nice hoodie or sweater might be coming soon with a little collab.
Nice.
Ooh,
So yeah,
Very
no,
cool.
like I said, in the meantime, kind of working with other like-minded brands that could potentially have a cool collab with. And then ultimate goal, like, right? Like, how cool would it be to do something with the Red Wings, the Griffins?
yeah.
As a kid growing up and watching them, and that would be pretty special.
Well, it sounds like you
Yeah.
have some fun things in the works, but I will say I've been impressed with the Red Wings the past few years in their desire to highlight small businesses. Because I know Megan's really educated me on this, but licensing the winged wheel is one of like the most expensive pro
Oh
sports
yeah,
licenses you can possibly ever get across the board, which makes sense. Original Six franchise,
right.
it's iconic,
You don't want to just
but
slap on anything and
Hmm.
yeah.
be, yeah, exactly. You don't want to slap it on everything.
But they did I'm trying to think like sauna, obviously pretty big now, but
Yeah.
there's been a few when they started partnering, more up and coming brands that they've welcomed in for one day only arena pop-ups, even Kilo and Co,
Yeah.
who we talked to in the last episode. So we'll see you there one day, Austin, I'm certain.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
That'd be
I
great.
remember seeing Kilo and Co. I think they had something a while back. That was kind of when they were still getting going earlier on, if I remember correctly. Maybe I'm mixing it up with another one, but then to see what they did this past year,
Mhm.
pretty awesome setup that she had is, props to her.
Yeah,
Very
we were just
cool.
talking about that. It's like a party that she
Yeah.
throws at the arena. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But it sounds like
All those little things add up. The experience is
mhm.
what it's about. And to be able to give someone a good experience from start to finish, and not just sticking a shirt in front of their face and trying to
Yeah.
get them to buy it.
Well, that's you nailed it when you were talking about your future vision for one day having a brick and mortar that isn't just a store, but an experience. I think, I work in marketing and looking at some of the younger generations, they're not going to spend money with a brand that doesn't speak to them and isn't 100% authentic. And so
Right.
you almost have to think about your entire brand beyond your product line. How does that how do we represent ourselves? And you have such a like from your imagery, your creative, the products you're making, like the way you're talking about your future goals, like it's such a clear vision. And it's gonna be really fun to see what you do next.
Yeah, I really love how the brand has tied into kind of, the Michigan nature and like specifically kind of like the lake life culture,
Yeah.
tying that into hockey. I really love that concept. I think it's something that was kind of missing and I think it's great. I can't wait
Yeah.
to see more.
When the lakes freeze, what else are you gonna do?
Exactly.
Oh
Which
yeah,
is
no, that's a like I said, big part of the brand is nature based, and coming from a background myself of kind of really liking that snowboarding, outdoor hiking
Yeah,
type apparel, and then also the hockey side. I like to kind of blend them together to create what Fresh Coast is, and kind of stay with that nature appeal.
for sure. I think you're doing an amazing job. That's exactly the vibe I got from it the second I like really like looked at it and was like, wow, they're really nailing that one.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, no, I'm glad to hear. And as
Hmm.
a plenty of plenty of people in Michigan who love their Michigan apparel, the love for the state, and
Yes.
on the back of all the cars you see, the Great Lakes or the Michigan, like stickers on every car you drive by. And so, to tie the two together and to keep it Michigan at the roots, but also Great Lakes as a whole. We don't want to completely pigeonhole into just Michigan, but also
Mhm.
staying focused on that being the main part of it,
Yeah.
so that people can show their appreciation for the sport and for the state and for the Great Lakes, kind of all tied together.
Yeah, and it's part of your DNA. You grew up going to the Red Wings games, playing. You played travel hockey.
Yep,
I
yeah,
mean, you were always at an arena, so it's
yeah. I grew up
I
at the rink.
yeah.
While people were like off going to like homecoming and stuff, I was usually in like a Holiday Inn or something, staying for a hockey
I know,
tournament.
right? You and my husband both. In college, I had to take him to a sorority formal, and he's like, "I've never done this before." I'm like, "What? What about high school?" He's like, "I was always at a hockey tournament."
Yeah, yeah, that's just the way it was. It's you
That's
know.
Michigan.
Although I feel like I didn't miss too much, so it was probably better.
Yeah,
Playing
I
mini
think you
sticks in the
probably had
hall
more
with
fun.
the other guys is staying up too late and doing cannonballs in the pool.
Yeah.
Have some good memories as well.
Well, you had good parents to drag you around all those places because I know I spent my childhood in an ice arena and I did not play hockey or skate, so
Yeah, that was my
that was just
sister.
right. Your sister and I probably should compare stories.
Yeah.
So you all this started 1 year ago, which is kind of wild to think how far you've come. You clearly have an entrepreneurial mindset. What changed or what happened at that point in your life where you said, all right, I can do this? Like, did you have to make changes in your day to day? And, tell us about that process.
Yeah, so it seemed like it kind of came out of thin air, honestly. Like it was one of those things that it started with this design right here that I'm wearing. And it kind of was one of those things that I was already buying similar type stuff, and wanted to create something of my own to put out there to people. And so yeah, it started with that, and then it's like, well, let's see how it's received. Put a couple hats out there and see what people think of it, and grow it based off that. Really, if people are showing interest in what I'm doing, then let's keep going with it. And if it's not well received, then I reinvent it a little bit, figure out how to get somebody a little more interested, or maybe I made a mistake and we shouldn't even be getting into this. So it ended up being, yeah, well received, and I was actually shocked for just the even still today, like we don't have a big collection. That there's handful of shirts, handful of hats, tote bags, koozies, stuff like that. So can't wait for that to be able to grow and have more options for everyone, to
Mm.
someone else to see something that they like. I don't know if there was an exact moment that things just changed. I think it was I like I said, it sort of came out of thin air, but then it all started making sense because,
Yeah.
like I said, with the background of kind of how I grew up, tying the brand together that way. I remember being a kid and being in the car driving down south, and being a typical kid, being bored, sitting there like, I'm bored. When are we going to be there? And my parents gave me a notebook and like, just do something, like invent something or draw or whatever. Just be creative and here. And I remember as a kid drawing t-shirt designs for some reason. I just was like, oh, it'd be so cool to like do t-shirts and designs and have
No
something
way.
like this
That's so
one day.
cool.
And so it was kind of one of those things that it was always in the back of the mind, and I never knew that I would for sure do it. But then, like I said, as it kind of came out of thin air, next thing you know, the snowball kept
Yeah.
rolling, and it kept kind of growing and growing, and now I'm hooked, and I love doing it. So it's fun to see, yeah, the past kind of tie into what's going on now.
What advice would you give to other entrepreneurs who, have that spirit but haven't started yet and are interested in going out and creating a brand or a new business?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, and maybe it's cliche, but just staying true to yourself and doing what you love and are passionate for. Because if that's not the objective, and then you're not in the right place. Like, maybe you're just doing it to do it, and I don't think that's a
Mm.
good way to live or to go about things. I think that you need to be interested in what you're doing and truly believe in it and love it, so that you can continue to grow and it be natural and not some sugar coated thing that maybe you're just doing for an image or for this or that. And I think that's a pretty important, like I said, maybe cliche in a sense of like, be yourself. But I think that there's something
It's
to
true.
that. And also knowing when you need to um, get away from an idea and let it just maybe die, maybe instead of trying to, well, this is what I wanted and I have to make it work, even though it maybe isn't working, knowing when to move on and to stay with the times and to move forward on stuff rather than dwell in the past because it was working in the past. Like things are constantly
Hmm.
changing. And I think that it's very important to adapt quickly to your surroundings and to what other people are liking and interested in while remaining true to yourself and doing what makes sense for you and what you like.
That's a great answer. Megan, don't you feel like that was pretty in line with what we heard from Amanda from Kilo and Co. too?
Yeah, for sure. And it makes so much sense when you think about it. Like if you have to be able to adapt, but keep in mind why you started and still be passionate about what you're doing. And I think that sometimes people kind of that's where they get away from themselves with things and maybe they don't work out. But yeah, I think that's fantastic advice. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, thanks.
All right. Well, we will let you go return to your family in your very busy life as an entrepreneur. However, I want to end with just a fun question. In your opinion, Austin, why is hockey the best sport in the world?
Well, the best, in my opinion, for sure. Maybe not in everybody's opinion,
And
but
ours.
yeah, and it probably should be everybody's. But no, I mean, there's nothing like it. The game is so fast, and I always say like, and it's no disrespect to any other sport because I'm a big fan of just sports in general,
Yeah.
but it just takes that next level of, everybody for the most part, if you're able to, can move around, run around, and play a sport. Um, you throw skates on it, it changes things. Like I've got a buddy that is, very athletic and just naturally good. Anytime you play him anything, he's gonna win.
Yeah.
But you put skates on him, and it changes things a little bit. It's not the easiest to do. So not only to be able to move around on sharp blades, but then also to be able to have the stick in your hand, stick handling, shooting, heads up, and how fast it's a game that you can't think. As soon as you are thinking, you're already too late. It's pure reaction, and to me, that's what makes it so special and unique. And from every other sport, what other sport? I mean, obviously, there are some, but not a lot of sports where you're playing on the ice, and that in itself is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
We couldn't
Love
agree
that.
more. We just saw, what was it, Connor McDavid's breakaway got him up to like 27 miles an hour.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah, my wife and I were
Oh
watching
my
that. I was like,
God.
whoa,
I
geez.
know. I know. It just, like you said, nothing like it. So much fun. But I think, too, to add, it's the passion in the people. The
Yeah.
the fans, like just like you, kind of, if we can toot our own horns, like us as well. Like we
Oh, for sure.
clearly care so deeply about the league and the team. And our goal with starting Hockey Style with Devon and Megan was just to connect with others who love hockey as much as we do. We
Yeah.
have friends who aren't into hockey, and we have to limit as much as we talk about it. So just
Right.
getting to meet people like you was the goal. So we can't thank you enough for hanging out with us for an hour tonight.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, it's
And before you go, please tell everyone where they can find you.
yeah. Freshcoasthockey.com is the website and Instagram, Fresh Coast Hockey. You can find us there. Check out the collection of everything that has just come out this past spring. And yeah, I hope others will enjoy it as much as I enjoy doing it and continuing it.
Yeah,
Absolutely. We'll be sure to share those on our socials as well.
absolutely.
And I hope lots of our listeners find you, because I know I'm placing an order. By the way, which tote bag do I get if I get to the $100 spend,
It's
Austin?
well, which one do you want? Because it's either or, it's
Okay, okay. Maybe I'll add a note to my.
okay.
I've had a cart full in there ready to hit, and I was like, I gotta ask him.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Well,
cute.
Might have to throw them both in.
Oh my gosh, no need. We already took an hour of your time. I'm asking for too much here,
Oh
but
no.
we
I know
wish
if
you
you're gonna take
so
an hour of
much
my time
success.
talking hockey, it's not a bad hour.
Oh,
Yes,
good.
same here. We both had kind of rough Mondays, it's a Monday, what can you do? And
Yeah.
then we're all stressed out. We got one more thing. And then we just remember the whole reason we started this is because we're always smiling like this is the fun part of our life.
Right.
Like
Yeah,
we could
exactly.
do
Yeah.
this if only we could do this all day, every day. But
Right. Mondays aren't always the easiest, that's for sure. But
yeah.
it's make the most of it.
All right. Well, we appreciate you
Awesome.
so much. Come back anytime.
Yeah, no, it was
Yeah.
great chatting with you guys. And like I said, I'm excited to see you guys grow and follow along and listen to future episodes.
Awesome.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
I'll see you
Take care.
later.
Yep. See ya.
Well, I don't know about you, but I thought that was a really fun second period. Like, what a really cool new brand to learn about. I really love it.
A new brand, a new friend, lots of new connections. I still can't believe
Yeah.
we haven't met Austin yet. He's
I
awesome.
know.
Definitely our kind of people. And his stuff is so good. And I loved how he said, we don't have a ton of product yet, but it reminded me of the advice we heard from Amanda at Kilo and Co. in the last episode. Like, really know your swim lane and own it and establish
Mhm.
it. And he's like so true to his brand and his love of both hockey and the Fresh Coast. So
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that we'd be crazy not to incorporate Fresh Coast into our style tip today. And I was kind of thinking, like, with the unofficial start of summer, like, what a great brand to wear to sort of show off your Michigan pride and also things that are more outdoorsy, more bright, summery, a fun t-shirt that isn't so heavily team branded, but will also let everyone know that you're a hockey fan and that you're a hockey guy or hockey girl. And I just think that's such a great way to show that off if you're at the lake or if you're going on a hike. What do you think?
I think we probably wouldn't be on a hike, but I could see
That's
us
true.
definitely wearing them to the beach, maybe with
Yes.
like a
I
nice
love that.
vodka lemonade or something.
Perfect for me. Perfect.
I kid, but they are really, really fun brands, a brand to pair with other Michigan apparel too. If you really want to
Yes.
come up with like a whole Michigan vibe, I think I might get the Wave t-shirt a few sizes too big and just wear it as a bathing suit cover up
Oh,
this
that's cute.
summer.
Yeah,
Yeah, that'd be
that's
cute.
cute.
But great gifts. I have a ton of aunts, as you know, who live out of state, and I always love to send little Michigan themed items. So this is great because it's a nod to hockey without being overtly Red Wings. I think this will be on everybody's gift list this year.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So if you've made it to the end of our episode, the end of the third period with us, you're a winner because
Yeah.
Austin has kindly given us a coupon code just for listeners of Hockey Style. So if you go to his website, Fresh Coast Hockey, and plug in capital Hockey Style, all caps, you are going to get 15% off your order. So thank you
Yay.
so much for listening. I know I'll be doing that later because
Yeah, absolutely.
my cart has been full for some
Gotta
time
go.
now.
Gotta shop. Yeah.
It's the perfect time. It's finally nice out. We should all get some cute summer gear that's still hockey
Yes.
oriented.
Yes. All right.
All right. Well, we should go shop, Megan.
Let's do it.
If you haven't, please follow and like and subscribe. We really appreciate you being part of our hockey style community. See you next week.
Have a good one.